Whether the team is giving us the highest of highs or the bluest of blues, we'll cover it all here on Commanders Nightly News. I, of course, am your host, Louie T. Thank you for joining me. Let's get to tonight's lead story. So, the knee brace king is back. All hail, all praise to Jayden Daniels being fully cleared medically to return to practice. This is a great sign if you are one that wants to see him be on the field, which I think that's 100% of this fan base, on Sunday versus the Los Angeles Chargers. So that was step one, getting him back on the practice field in a full capacity. There is a knee brace. I'm pretty sure you've all seen the images of him out on the practice field. You can see that there is, in fact, a knee brace on that left knee. Jayden Daniels acknowledged that the brace exists. He also acknowledged that he is not a fan of said brace, but if that's what he has to wear for him to play, so be it. I said the same thing on Bleacher Report today. If you haven't checked that out, go ahead and check it out. The quick hit that I did for Bleacher Report, I talked about the same thing. At this point, brace or no brace, we just need Jayden Daniels back on the field. So that was pretty refreshing to see. In a side note, that's also a part of today's lead story. Sam Cosmi's window has officially been opened. He is now on that 21-day window to return back to play. He hit the practice field today for the first time since injuring the ACL back in January in the divisional round tilt versus the Lions. That is a sight for sore eyes, especially after I've had a chance to watch the film, and I was not pleased with what I saw from Andrew Wiley, particularly in this game. Now, Wiley wasn't terrible. I don't want to make it seem like Andrew Wiley was this horrendous train wreck in Week 4 versus the Falcons, but he left a lot to be desired. There were plays that could have been bigger than what they were. There was a third down play that was blown up because he didn't do his job, etc. So I can't wait to see Samuel Cosmi in his rightful spot at right guard, starting for this football team and getting closer to making this offensive line whole once again. I don't know what whole looks like because we still don't really know what the hell's going on at left guard. I actually thought that Chris Paul played well for the second consecutive week. Doesn't feel like Brandon Coleman's getting his job back anytime soon. That said, can't wait to see Cosmi get back on the field. This is the first step in that happening. In my mind, I've circled Week 7 against the Cowboys. I've been saying that for months. It was always Week 1, all in for Week 1 with Sam. And if it wasn't Week 1, it was Week 7 versus Dallas. But I also am side-eyeing Week 6 against the Bears because there's an extra day that the team will have to get these guys ready. I think the cavalry arrives in Week 6. I think you get Terry back next week. I think you get Noah Brown back next week. I think you get Sam Cosmi back next week. I think you really start to see this team get healthy next week. But there's a pretty robust injury report waiting for us today. We're going to take a look at that a little bit later on. But before I get to any of that, let's talk about the film. If you're a member of the MOBB or you're a member of the Patreon squad, shout out to all of you. As I always say, you guys are the heartbeat and lifeline of the Louie T Network. The film study is waiting for you. You have access to it now if you haven't already watched it live with me. So check that out. It was an interesting film study, to say the least. You'll gain a lot from this particular film study, and it's also going to piss you off. That's the nature of losing in this league, and that's the nature of losing games that you feel like you should have won. So with that said, here's a few takeaways from the film. One, we left a lot of meat on the bone offensively. I think all of you already know that, but I'm going to just regurgitate that and reiterate it. We left a lot of meat on the bone. And I'm not going to beat up Marcus Mariota because, again, he played well enough for us to win. He made some big-time throws on fourth down in this game. He did a lot of good things. There were penalties that negated some other big plays that he made, etc. However, there were still plays left on the field. There's a wide-open touchdown opportunity to Debo that he airmails to Zach Ertz on a third down that forces us to settle for a field goal. There were ample opportunities for him to get out of the pocket and run and use his legs and pick up first downs instead of incompletions, forcing the football, etc. There's an opportunity where the offensive line broke down. Chris Moore is wide open, busted coverage from the Falcons. They're both eyeballing Debo. Chris Moore streaking down the sideline. I don't know if he would have caught it, but he had about 30 yards of open space with no one around. And if Mariota wasn't harassed on the play and ultimately sacked, one of the few times he was sacked in the game, I think he was sacked twice, and that was one of the 2 sacks. Probably, I don't know if Mariota would have even seen him, right? But would have been nice to have seen what would have happened if he would have been given the opportunity to scan the football field. There are penalties that negate big plays. Obviously, the Jalen Lane play. Again, we left so many opportunities on the field. There were opportunities for plays to go for touchdowns or bigger gains if one guy would have done his job and blocked. There's so many of those on offense. We should have scored, and I'm not being facetious here. We should have scored 40 in this game. We should have scored 40 in this game. But unfortunately, we scored 27, and that should have been enough, but it wasn't. And had we scored 40 like we should have, that probably would have been enough. Then you go to the defensive side, and the communication is horrible. That's my biggest takeaway from the film, is that the communication was simply not up to par. Guys aren't doing what they're supposed to do. You see one guy communicating, the other guy's not sure, and then you see a breakdown in how the coverage is played, and you see guys running open, and it's not hard, right? A lot of this is not hard. That's easy for me to say. I'm not on the field. Things aren't happening fast in real time, and so it's easy for me to say that watching it in quarter speed and with all 22 and being able to say, why aren't we doing this? Why aren't we doing that? But they have to be better in their communication. They're not doing a great job. Things are too easy for the opposite. Joe Witt Jr. got way too cute on Sunday. It was his worst game called as a Commanders defensive coordinator. He did too many things where he tried to give exotic looks. Listening to Joe Witt talk over the life of his career here, there are certain times where you can tell he thinks they can take advantage of a young quarterback. And he got way too cute trying to confuse Michael Penix. And it got so bad, it hurt the defense. Had he just gone in there with the same game plan he went with against the Raiders and Geno Smith, he went with against Russell Wilson and the Giants in week 1, we would have been just fine. But no, it's a guy that's essentially a rookie. Michael Penix is making his 7th start in the NFL. He was awful last week. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to throw the kitchen sink at this guy. We're going to be dropping defensive ends. We're going to be moving guys around, and we're going to do this. And none of that shit worked. And we didn't play it well, and we didn't communicate. And it just made our defense worse. Had we just done the things that we had done in weeks 1 and 3, we would have won this game. I can't tell you how many times I'm watching the film and we got Dorrance Armstrong or we got Jacob Martin dropping into some hook zone, doing absolutely nothing. Critical third downs where your best pass rusher, Dorrance Armstrong, is dropping into a hook zone, guarding nothing but grass, doing absolutely nothing. Then, to top it off, to put the cherry on top, Michael Penix runs out of the pocket to Dorrance Armstrong, who's in a hook zone, and he takes a horrible angle, outruns them to the sideline, and gets the first down. Just rush Dorrance Armstrong. What are we doing? We act as if Dorrance Armstrong is going to drop underneath into a hook zone, key quarterback's eyes, feel out that the tight end's right behind him, and jump a passing lane or some shit. There's a play where Dorrance Armstrong, this is a separate play. That's how many times he dropped in this game, which is just horrible, horrible defensive coordinating. He dropped into a hook zone. Guess what route the wide receiver Drake London ran? Guess. A hook. You think that Dorrance Armstrong was even remotely close to where he was? You know why? Because he's a defensive end. Why are you dropping him into coverage? He has no awareness spatial awareness. He has no awareness of where any of the routes are. He didn't even turn his head to look to see who's around him. You know, maybe I can hug up on this receiver that's in my area. Nope, just dropped back, kept his eyes on the quarterback. Never saw that there was a receiver standing 2 yards to his left, slightly behind him. He catches the ball. He gives him a fake. Dorrance Armstrong goes backwards 4 yards. Allows Drake London to run forwards and create a 3rd and 1. Luckily enough for us, we got the stop on 3rd and 1. That was right before halftime, our first stop of the game. But it's just this kind of tomfoolery that's unnecessary. He got way too cute in week 4. That's what happened. And remember when they asked him on Thursday last week, it's a young quarterback. Do you have some things you're going to put in this week to try? And he started smiling. He had the shit-eating grin on his face like, yeah, I'm not going to tell you what my game plan is, but yeah, we got some things. That was the bullshit that he had. And it was straight garbage. Please never do that again. Ever do that again. Just let your guys rush. We already don't have a dominant pass rush. The last thing I need from you is taking the guys that can get to the quarterback, like Frankie Louvu, like Dorrance Armstrong, like Jacob Martin. I don't need you dropping them into coverage. It's hard enough to get to the quarterback with those guys rushing. I don't need you taking them and asking guys like Jalen Holmes to try and get the quarterback. All right, I don't need to be asking those guys to try to hit home when I got guys that can actually do it dropping into coverage. Why? Let's not do that again. Let's just stick to the basics, okay? Let's not try to get cute. Let's not try to reinvent the wheel. We know who we are. We know who they are. Let's just be us. Another thing. Marshawn Lattimore, his game wasn't as bad as it felt watching it live, but there is a difference between what one guy on one side is doing and what the other guy on the other side is doing. For instance, I'll give you a great example. I thought this was a great example of the difference between the two of them right now. Remember that 3rd down and 7 that Penix throws to Drake London at the end of the game, the last of the 3 3rd downs that they had to convert on that drive to put us away. And it's kind of low when he catches it. Remember, that was the one where he started out all the way wide. He motions to the bunch. Marshawn runs in motion with him, and then he runs the out, and Marshawn's nowhere to be found. So on the previous 3rd down, they ran the exact same concept on the opposite side. Drake London starts all the way out wide. He motions to a bunch formation. Trey Amos is out wide with him. Trey runs in motion with him. And remember, he starts out wide, runs to the bunch, then motions back outside. So he's got a bubble around all of that traffic. And Trey still meets him at the apex of the route and jams him, disrupts the route. They come back to the same play. Now they end up hitting Pitts, Kyle Pitts on the corner on that play because Penix, you could tell, wanted to go to Drake London and it wasn't happening. Trey Amos shut the shit down, locked his ass up. Lock him up. Lock him up. So he had to go to his next route, which was the corner against Quan. If you recall, Quan got caught with his hand in the cookie jar, pass interference, and he still caught the damn ball and picked up like an additional 7-8 yards. So they declined the penalty. That was the second 3rd down of the 3 that they converted on that drive, that last drive. Then they come back on the next one, the 3rd and final one, the one that he hits, the same exact concept. They just flip the sides of the field. They send Drake London in motion, tight. He bubbles around the traffic, comes back around. He doesn't come back up and press like Trey does. He stays back, and Drake London just runs out. So that's the difference, right? One guy able to get there, put his hands on, disrupt the route. The other guy doesn't do it. So there is a stark difference between the two of them right now, for sure. Now, Trey Amos had some, deficiencies in this game. He blew coverage on the first third down of the game on a corner route to Kyle Pitts. He was supposed to get depth on that route, sag underneath that corner route. I think he's going to pick one of those off this year. I really, truly do. But Jeremy Reeves came down. He should have been able to then get out of there and get some depth and sag underneath that corner route and take it away or pick it off. Instead, he stayed too long in the flats, gave Pitts the wide open corner route. Penix hit it, big gain on the first third down of the game. We got to be better. That's what I'm talking about, communication. You could see Jeremy Reeves come down, trying to communicate to him. And message lost in translation. And the end result is a big gain given up. We have to communicate better. We have to play better and tighter in zone coverage. This has to be coached. There are opportunities in this game for the ball to be poked free. I showed a great example on the film of an opportunity where Mike Sainristil could have punched the ball out from running back Bijan Robinson. He's doing all of this dipsy-do bullshit after a catch. He's spinning balls all out here, loosey-goosey. He has no idea Mikey's coming around. And if Mikey was a dog that wanted to eat, that shit was on the ground, bro. Perfect punch opportunity. Mikey comes over. I'm going to help you tackle him after a gain of 14. Yeah. We don't look for turnovers. That's why we don't get any. But I digress. This is who we are. This is what we do. Now we have to improve. We have to be better. It starts with Joe Witt Jr. So that's like my synopsis of the film. Again, you can go watch it if you're a member of the MOBB. It's there for you to consume. Really disappointed that we didn't win that game, because going back and watching, you see all of the opportunities that were presented to us, and we just weren't in a position to take advantage of them. We just didn't do what, and you know, what sucked too was we made mistakes that losing teams make. Jayden Daniels said something at the press conference that we're going to talk about that resonates. And he basically said, in the first month of the season, more games are lost than they are won, right? And that is so true, because we lost this game against Atlanta. Great example. Loser football shit. 3rd and 2. 3rd and 2. After the Mikey Sainristil interception. 3rd and 2. You're moving the football. You're feeling good. It's a great drive. I don't even know if this is the Mikey Sainristil. I think this is the first possession after halftime. You're moving it down the field. You're down 17-10. You're having a good drive, and your veteran tight end, Zach Ertz, can't hold his water. Just falls over like an old man. Like he's in his stance. Everything's going well, and then he just creaks over. Boop. Like, did you fall asleep, bro? Did you fall asleep, Grandpa, in your rocking chair? The hell is that? Now it's 3rd and 7, and instead of 3rd and 2, which even if you don't convert this, you can go for it if you so choose. Now it's 3rd and 7. You don't convert. Now you have to kick a field goal. Oh, by the way, Deebo Samuel was wide open for a touchdown, and Mariota didn't see him. So there's that as well. But I digress. These are the types of mistakes that losing football teams make. You take a 3rd and 2 that you're either going to convert or at least have 2 opportunities to convert. You turn it into a 3rd and 7 that you don't convert. You take great field position at the 41-yard line of the Falcons, and instead of you converting that into a touchdown, you settle for a field goal, because for the 3rd time in 4 games, you have an intentional grounding. These are the little things that the bad teams do, and these are the things that the good teams avoid. Oh, yeah, and turnovers are something that good teams create, look for, hunt, seek out. Bad teams usually don't create turnovers. They don't force mistakes. They are the ones that make them. So we have to flip the narrative and flip the script. Last year, we forced the turnovers, or at least we didn't make the mistakes. I'll just say that, and when we lost, we talked about this. When we lost games last year, it was usually because we turned it over. We made mistakes. We had penalties. We had drops. We had things that hurt us. Well, that's what happened in this game against the Falcons. It's exactly what happened. Got to be better. Got to be better. Got to be better. But you know what? A lot gets fixed when the knee brace king is back. And Jayden Daniels, knee brace, no knee brace, whatever it looks like, he's going to give us a better chance to win on Sunday. Can't wait to see what that looks like. Bart Scott. Can't wait. Let's go to In Other News, where we're going to talk about what was said by DQ and Jayden Daniels today at their respective press conferences. Before we do that, we're going to take a look at the injury report. Now, and we've talked about this before in the past, and we're having to do this again this week. Because we're playing a team out on the West Coast, the injury reports aren't going to be available to us. They're not going to be available to us during the time of this show. Now, I'm in the process of downloading the injury report for the Chargers right now because they just put it out. Remember, they're on the left coast, so ours have to be out by at least or after 4 o'clock. Theirs don't have to be out until after 7. They just put theirs out like 5 minutes ago. So I'm downloading it right now, and I'm going to be able to show you. But remember, tomorrow we're probably not going to have access to their injury report for Thursday, but I'll have that for you on Friday. Honestly, I don't think there's going to be anything here to really see. Joe Alt isn't playing, but I already told you that. I told you that on Sunday. I watched that Giants game, and I saw him get injured, and he was in a walking boot, and he's going to be out multiple weeks. Their offensive line is in shambles right now, and if we can't take advantage of their offensive line, then we are in some trouble. So let's get to the injury report for both teams, and we start with the good guys. And I am going to upload this Chargers injury report right now as we speak, and we are going to have access to that. So that's good. Now I'm excited. I haven't looked at it yet, but we do have it now, so we can kind of see if there's anything that we may be able to take advantage of outside of just Joe Alt. This is a robust injury report for the good guys, isn't it? Wow. A lot of, like, we thought last week's was long. Last week's was 12 names. We expected last week's to be a little bit long. I did not expect this week's to be this lengthy. This looks like more than 12 names, by the way. Let's count them up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 14 names on this sumbitch this week. Now, take this into consideration. Sam Cosmi's been added to this because this was his first day. So that's another name that wasn't here previously that's here. And again, there's nothing wrong with him. He's just getting back into the swing of things. Then you still have the list of guys that are vet rest days. So you've got Von Miller up here. You've got Laramie Tunzel up here. You've got Nick Bellore up here. Surprisingly, okay, there's Zach Ertz. I'm about to say, I'm surprised Zach Ertz is not up here, but he is. So you've got 4 vet rest guys. You've got Cosmi up here. So you take those 5 names off, and it's more like 9 names on this list. So let's now go through it. Dorrance has an illness, so I don't want to say that's not a real thing, but he's not going to miss the game because of it unless it's a really bad illness. I expect him to be back out there tomorrow. Now, if he just got sick today, he could not practice all week and be ready. They're leaving earlier. We'll talk about that when we get to what was said at the press conference, but Dorrance will be fine. Let's just assume he'll be okay. Nick Bellore rest. Noah Brown did not practice again. I told you, I don't think he or Terry is going to be going this week. I'm looking at both of them for next week. So Noah Brown still out. Ale Cajo, we saw the concussion on the special teams kickoff return where he went down and he smashed the return man, but he got the worst end of it. He tried to get up. Leg was doing the stanky leg and shit. I was like, hey, somebody hold Ale up. So he's probably going to be out of this game. Terry Quad, again, DMP, don't expect him to play this week. Next week is when we start checking in with him. And it could easily be the Dallas game. My eyes are set on that Monday night game because you have the extra day. And that might be the extra day, the difference you need to get some of these guys back on the field confidently. Von Miller, vet rest day. Mike Samer still knee. Don't love seeing that, right? Same with Debo, heel. Don't love seeing that. I'm hoping that it's just them being precautious on a Monday, on a Wednesday. I always tell you, if you're going to miss a day, it's Wednesday. That's the extra day. You can just add on to what you've already been doing, continue to rest, continue to get treatment, and then hopefully these guys hit the practice field in some capacity, whether it's limited or full tomorrow. But we need Mikey. We need Debo. Obviously, we need Debo, especially with our wide receiver situation being what it is. So those are really big names to keep an eye on here. Laramie Tunzel rest. Percy, hip, limited. I figured he'd be back this week along with John Bates. As you can see, John Bates full. We kind of got an inkling that he'd be back to work this week based off of his conversation on the radio program that he does every week with JP Finley and B Mitch. So Figured he'd be back in full at some point this week. I didn't know if it would be Wednesday or not. It is Wednesday. Cosmi, as you see, full, had his window open today, and then Jayden Daniels full as well. So this isn't as bad as it seems, but there are some big names on this thing, most notably Dorrance, Mikey, and Debo. If those three are good, then this injury report is good. Because if those three guys end up being just fine, just precautionary things that are being done, then you're going to get all of these vet rest guys off of this thing. Terry, John, and Sam are all good, right? You're probably not going to see Sam this week, but Jayden, or not Terry, excuse me, Jayden, Sam, and John are all good. You're not going to see Sam this week, but John, barring a setback, Jayden, barring a setback, both are going to be fine. I think Percy's going to go this week. And if Debo, Mike, and Dorrance are all good, this is a non-threatening injury report, right? You're just probably going to have Ale Cajo out of this game. However, of the guys that haven't played, right, or have been playing, rather, it's just Ale Cajo will be out. Now, something interesting that is here that you should be encouraged by, because I am. What name isn't here that was here last week? Billiam. That's right. Bill is not here. So BI double, not on this injury report. That should make you smile. That should make your heart smile, give you the warm and fuzzies. And now I'm trying to remove any excuse why my man can't get double-digit touches, why my man can't get 12 to 15 carries, another 2 or 3 catches out of the backfield, why my man can't touch it 15, a bare minimum of 15 times in the football game. I need answers. He's not on the injury report now. That's a good thing. Now feed him. Feed him. Feed him. All right. So now, quickly, we have some roster updates to report. So we talked about Robbie Chosen being signed to the practice squad yesterday. Antonio Hamilton Sr. is going to now be officially on the roster. Why? Because Javonte Jean-Baptiste has now been placed on IR. Like I said, his season more likely than not done. But remember, Jonathan Allen tore his pec last year, later in the season, like 2 weeks later. Then Javonte Jean-Baptiste did this year, and he was able to make it back before the end of the regular season. So I won't rule anything out, but everybody is not the same. Every, injury is unique to, each individual. Everybody heals at a different rate of speed. So we'll see. But Javonte Jean-Baptiste is out for the foreseeable future. So Antonio Hamilton Sr. will be taking his place on the roster. And because Antonio Hamilton is now going to be moved to the active roster, that frees up a practice squad spot, which Robbie Chosen will now step into moving forward. So those are the roster moves. That's how the pieces of the puzzle fit together. And now we get to the Chargers side of things here and the ops and their injury report. So this is what it looks like. For week 5. So Keenan Allen, vet rest. Nothing to see here. Joe Alt, going to miss this game. We talked about that already. Mekhi Becton, it'd be great if he couldn't go. Limited with a concussion. We'll see if he can go. I don't think he went this past week, so it didn't happen on Sunday, I don't believe. So he probably will go, is my guess. If he can't go, that's great, because they stink on the interior without him. Darius Davis, knee. He's a really dynamic punt returner. So if he can't go, one of the guys that offers speed in the returns game and as a vertical threat at the receiver position, which we seem to unlock vertical threats deep. So it would be nice if they didn't have another guy to be vertical on Sunday. Tight end Will Dissily, knee limited. He's more of a blocker at this point. Andre James, neck full. Duran James, glute limited. That's a big one. Obviously, he's going to play. And Tarheeb Still, ankle limited. He's a big one too. That's a starting corner that takes the football away. Second-year guy out of North Carolina. Really good football player. But both of them are limited. I think both of them are going to play. So the guy that I'm kind of looking at is Mekhi Becton. And I'll keep my eye on Darius Davis as well to see what he does. But Duran James and Tarheeb Still, two of their better players in their secondary, are going to probably play more likely than not. So that is the injury report for both teams. Now we get to the press conferences from today as we turn the calendar to October. And we start with DQ. He opened his press conference talking about Sam Cosmi's window being open today. We talked about that already. He talked about Jayden being medically cleared to practice. We talked about that already. So those were two pieces of good news. He did not disclose any updates on Noah, Terry, or Bates. He said, hey, you guys will see the injury report later on when we release it. Usually when he does that, that means I don't have anything good to tell you, because if I got good news, just like he did with Cosmi and Jayden, I'm going to tell you. So good thing is Bates did return to practice fully today. Noah and Terry obviously did not. So like I said, I don't think either one of them are going to play this week, but that's not a surprise to any of us. He talked about an extended trip to LA. Now, they didn't actually tell us when they were leaving. Sounds like they're going to be home again tomorrow, practice here, and then they're probably going to leave Thursday night. That's what it sounds like. Get to LA in time enough to kind of get their bodies adjusted to the clock there and practice in LA on Friday. Have the extra day there on Saturday to practice because they left a day earlier. That's what it sounds like they're doing, right? So they're going to practice here tomorrow, leave tomorrow evening, get to LA sometime Thursday night. That will give them time to get rest, practice there on Friday, practice there again on Saturday, a little walkthrough action, and then get ready for the game and have their bodies adjust to the time difference. He said they did something similar last year. Obviously, he was talking about going from Monday night in Cincinnati straight to Arizona. That was a way different than this. He also said they're going to go to Madrid early. So this is not going to be the only extended stay for the team during a road game. So that's interesting. Hopefully it benefits us like it did last year when we went to Arizona for the week and had a wonderful game against the Cardinals. He talked about the changes up front on the offensive line and how that can alter the offense, how it can make things difficult on the quarterback. He said, look, every team's dealing with offensive line, changes, not just us. But you want your best guys out there. We're still shuffling the deck to figure that out. And Cosmi coming back here shortly is going to help, us put our best five on the field. And so just all you're looking to do, that's all you're striving to do, is find the five best guys that give you a chance to maximize the group in front of your quarterback and in front of your running backs. So it is what it is. And right now, it feels like Chris Paul is one of the best five offensive linemen you can put on the field, which is crazy because none of us would have said that just a month and a half ago. So he talked about time of possession, and that led into a conversation about third downs. Time of possession has been somewhat staggering for me as a stat because of how good we were time of possession last year. We were top 10 offense time of possession in the NFL last year, and we were pretty much for the entirety of the season. Again, that goes hand in hand, though, with the third down and fourth down conversions. And because we haven't converted third downs at all this season, we're converting third downs at a 33% clip, which is nasty work. It doesn't allow us to sustain drives. I talked about that and how it affects us from a tempo standpoint. So all of these things have hurt us in the time of possession game. I've talked about this. I talked about it ad nauseum yesterday, how the fact that the offense isn't sustaining drives and offense is hurting the defense because the defense is being put on the field way more than they did a season ago. And the defense is better. You guys keep acting as if the defense is not. It is. The difference, the big difference, is that the defense is being put on the field way more this season than it had at any point last season. So we got to get better. And you're hoping that Jayden 2.0 after this injury comes back and the offense kicks it into high gear, even though we're still missing a bunch of parts. We hope that Jayden's presence in this offense changes things, helps us convert some of these second and third downs into first downs, keeps drives alive, allows the tempo to kind of take place, and allows this offense to get going and keep this defense off the field, which is probably the most important part of all of this. He was asked about Robbie Chosen and guys playing outside at receiver. It's a question that feels like he's been asked multiple times, but the Robbie Chosen piece, he said, look, Robbie had some experience with Cliff Kingsbury in Arizona. He had experience with Wes Welker in Miami. So this is a guy that several members of our staff were comfortable with. He had a great workout. So we brought him in here. We'll see if he can contribute to the team or not. So he just kept that nice cut and dry. relationships, and a good workout is why Robbie was chosen. So he said, he talked about defensive turnaround. Like they asked him, how do you turn this defense around? He's like, I don't know if I would use the phrase turning around. Like this defense wasn't good in week 4, but he's like, I have confidence in this defense because of what I've seen in weeks 1 and 3 in particular. That's the same thing that I've been saying. Like if I hadn't seen it in those weeks, then I would be more so with the rest of the fans that have pitchforks and torches out for Joe Witt Jr. and this defense, and we stink and we can't do anything. And this is the Cincinnati Bengals defense from last year, which it is not. I would be on that train if I hadn't seen this defense play at a high level. And I don't give a shit who it is. I don't care that it was the Giants in week 1 and it was the Raiders in week 3. I watched the Giants eviscerate the Cowboys defense in week 2. Don't act like it couldn't happen to us if we were just as bad as Dallas. We're not. And it didn't happen to us. And I watched the Bears give up a bunch of rush yards to Ashton Genty. And I watched the Raiders offense move the football up and down on that Bears defense, except they turned it over, which we don't create turnovers, but they turned it over. So our defense isn't what everybody wants it to be or what everybody's trying to make it out to be. Was it good last week? Hell no. Does it need to be better? Absolutely. Can it? DQ says it will be. I'm going to give him grace and I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt until there's no more benefit to be given. I've seen enough this year to feel confident that this defense is going to be solid enough to get us where we ultimately want to go. So the offense needs to play better. I know that much. He talked about communication. And I told you the communication was awful in week 4 defensively. It was a mess. And he said, it's not just communicating, it's receiving the information and giving it back. Meaning somebody's communicating to you, you need to communicate to them that I got the message, right? I'm not seeing that. I'm seeing one guy telling somebody to do something, that guy not necessarily receiving the information fast enough or spitting it back out and understanding that I got it. And then you're seeing a breakdown. Right. And then he talked about blitz balance. And he's like, it's very dependent upon opponent. It's very dependent upon being home and away, who the quarterback is, who the offense you're playing, time and distance, situation. All those things factor into it. But at the end of the day, it's a gut feel thing. And we should have come after Michael Penix Jr. more. And I think the prevailing thought with a lot of old school, coordinators is that I don't want to blitz a young quarterback. I want to disguise. I want to confuse him. I want to throw different zone looks at him and make him see things that aren't really there. And you're trying to do too damn much. I think if you would have just applied pressure to Michael Penix, who did not want to run in this game, you would have had much more success. And so we missed an opportunity, I believe, to be a little bit more aggressive in coming after Michael Penix in this game. Instead of us we got Bobby Wagner running these long ass twists from like the C gap all the way to the A. Where the hell is Bobby Wagner going from the C gap all the way? He ain't getting there. That's as bad as a damn moon blitz. He ain't getting to the quarterback. Like, apply pressure to Bijan Robinson as a pass protector because he's not a great pass protector. Frankie Louvu's sack came on Bijan trying to protect, and Frankie running through that bitch ass, that soft ass chip, and getting to Michael Penix and getting our lone sack of the day. Like, force Bijan to protect, run Bobby right through his damn chest. Not these soft ass, long developing loops and dropping out Dorrance Armstrong to replace him as a rusher. Shit was trash. Frankie Louvu's usage, he was asked about it. And so he corrected John Kahn because John was like, Frankie hasn't rushed as much as he did in the baby. Whoa, hold on. I can't confirm that. Like, DQ wasn't going for that shit. I believe John. It's probably, the numbers probably indicate that because it doesn't feel like Frankie's rushed as much this year. So I believe John. DQ doesn't want to cop to that. That's fine, but they haven't rushed him. I can tell you this much. By far and away, Frankie's best game. He looked like screw loose Oos in this game. Now, he missed a couple of tackles, but he was active. He was in the backfield. He was disruptive. He had a sack. He was flying around in this game. He looks like he's starting to get back to the guy that was an all-pro defender a season ago. That was by far and away his best game of the season. And DQ acknowledged, I would like to see Frankie going forward towards the line of scrimmage more than not. I agree. I think all of us would agree that's when he's at his best. I don't want him dropping into a hook zone. Although he did have the interception against Kenny Pickett last year, that's not his strength, right? We saw how many interceptions did we see go through Frankie Louvu's hands last season, right? That's not who he is. I want him attacking the line of scrimmage, attacking running backs, attacking offensive linemen, attacking quarterbacks. That's where he's at his best. There was a Marshawn Lattimore conversation where he said that he didn't think that Marshawn was being targeted. I don't agree with that assessment, but I don't think it's as egregious as people think. Like, people make it seem like no one's throwing the ball at Trey Amos and they're always throwing the ball at Marshawn 50 million times a game. And that's not true. However, I do think teams in critical situations are going at Marshawn Lattimore. If they're going to take a shot down the field, they're taking their shot at Marshawn Lattimore. I do think he's being targeted in specific instances. So I don't agree with him there. I do think he's being targeted and teams are having success. However, how has he played so far? DQ said, I think his struggles have been overblown. I do agree with that. I do think that he said, in a game, a guy can make 4 really good plays and then get beat over the top. And no one's going to remember the 4 good plays. They're just going to remember about him getting beat over the top. And that's what happens with Marshawn. He had like 3 or 4 pass defenses in the game where he was in great coverage. He was right there. He had like maybe 4 of them. Now that I think about it, 1 before the half, 1 on the deep ball. He had another one over by the sidelines. He had some plays where he was right there, made some good plays, but nobody's going to remember that. They're going to remember the double move for 44 yards down the sideline to Drake London. They're going to remember the 3rd down and 7 that he gave up to Drake London. They're going to remember the corner route where he was not responsible for that. But he was the first guy to arrive on the scene. They see his number. Oh, that's Marshawn's fault. He's trash. Well, you don't even know what was going on there. At the end of the day, he needs to be better. But Joe Witt, I feel like, is doing him a disservice by not putting him in better positions to succeed. And the pass rush has to be better. We counted the seconds that Michael Penix had to throw that football. It felt like 6 seconds on that double move where he hit the 44-yarder to Drake London. Like, come on, guys. What are we doing here? Again, Joe Witt just trying to be too goddamn cute. October football. He was asked, what does October football look like for you? And he said, execution. He said, we talk about fast starts. That doesn't mean we got to go down and score a touchdown. That doesn't mean we got to get a 3 and out. He said, we got to have play speed right away. I agree with that so much. And he said, home and away has, been so different so far. And I totally am with him on the sense of play style. Like, when you watch that Falcons game, who looked at the team in the first quarter and said, oh, they came to play today? None of us felt that way. We felt like we were getting manhandled. They were running the football. They were bullying us. We went 3 and out on offense. They turned around, had a drive, then had another drive. It was 10-0. They were kicking our teeth in. It just felt like they were playing at a different speed. It felt like they were playing with a different level of physicality. It didn't feel like it did against the Giants in week 1. It didn't feel like it felt against the Raiders in week 3. We didn't set the tone. And so at home, we've set the tone with the play style, with the speed, with the physicality, right? Remember the first play against the Giants, Javon Kinlaw breaks through, grabs Tyrone Tracy, snatches him down, and we're like, oh, shit, that sets a tone. Remember the Raiders game? We lost the toss. We got the football to start, and we get the kickoff return from Debo, and then we mash it down. Like, first play is an 8-yard C-Rod run, and then we just pounded the rock down the field, and then Mariota caps it off. Like, you felt the intensity. When we were on the road against Green Bay, they went down the field, and if not for some missed cues by Jordan Love and a big play by Trey Amos, that's a drive for a touchdown. And then we get the football after the stop by the defense, and what do? 3 and out, and it's an ugly 3 and out. And we got dominated on offense in that game, right? We never looked like we were comfortable offensively in that game. And so, same thing here. We got into a rhythm after the first possession offensively, and it took us 3 drives to get a stop defensively. We got to wake up early in these games, and we got to play with aggression, speed, physicality. We got to have our play style be reflected from the opening whistle and kickoff. And so I agree with him. That's what October football is all about. He said, now that you've gotten through September, you're in October, roles have been defined, roles have been established. Everybody kind of knows where they fit into the grand scheme of things. He said there's still a couple of things, due to injury that you're figuring out. You're mixing and matching parts here and there, but for the most part, you should have a really good handle on what you got, who can do what, who you can ask to do this or that. Now it's about going out and execute. So execution is big in October. Then he talked about Javonte Jean-Baptiste's replacement. We already knew who that was. That's going to be Preston Smith. And he pretty much said, yeah, Preston Smith. And that's kind of cool that he had a 2-week runway to get himself into playing shape, to not have to rush, to learn the defense a little bit. And now hopefully he can come in here. Again, it sucks because Javonte Jean-Baptiste played really well. That was probably the best game I've ever seen him play in a Commanders uniform. Dating back to his rookie season last year, he was so active in this game. He was physical against the run. He had a great play against Ray McLeod when they tried to run a little, razzle dazzle, a little reverse fake run here, reverse toss it back, and he was not going for it. Stayed at home. Ended up being like a 6-yard, 7-yard loss. He was really active in this game. It sucks that he actually got hurt. But next man up, Preston Smith, I think can actually rush the quarterback better than JBB. So we'll see if he can stop the run as well as JBB was doing in this particular game. And can he get after the quarterback? I think he might actually be able to get after the quarterback a little bit better. So that was his press conference. Jayden Daniels, his presser. He was started off by being asked about how he handled being out. And, a lot of his answers were like, I wanted to play 2 weeks ago. I thought I was good enough to play 2 weeks ago. I thought I could go 2 weeks ago. I felt good 2 weeks ago. Like, he was like, bro, I wanted to play 2 weeks ago. And so like Rio said, he had to be so annoying to be around these last 2 weeks because I know he was pushing to go. He probably thought he could go. If this was college, he probably would have been out there. They would have let him go. But they understand what he is. Because in college, like, while you're trying to do right by the player, you're more concerned about your program because these dudes are gone in 3-4 years. So you're not as concerned about their long-term health. You're more so like, can you go? And they say, yeah. All right, throw them out there, right? NFL a little bit different. These are franchise cornerstone guys we're talking about here. You can't be risking their future for short-term gain. So this is why you need people that are responsible, because if it were up to Jayden, he would have played 2 weeks ago. Okay, he said it like 15 times in his press conference with a smile. He said, he was asked, does he expect to play? And he was like, I guess we'll see on Sunday. Yes, we expect him to play. And as the press conference went on, he was like, yeah, I'm playing on Sunday. As they got to the whole being at home piece, you could see the competitive juices got flowing. And he was like, yeah, I got a bunch of people coming to see me play. You damn right, like I'm going to be out there. But it started off as, I guess we'll have to see on Sunday. Then he was talking about the knee brace. And they was like, hey, I've never worn a knee brace. He was like, neither have I. He was like, how does it feel? He was like, I guess we'll have to see. I would prefer not to wear it. But if I got to wear it, if that's what I got to do to get on the field, then knee brace it is. He had it on today. I can't imagine him getting out there without the knee brace on Sunday. He'll have the knee brace on Sunday. Will it restrict him? A little bit, but I think he's still going to be allowed to be who he is with the brace on. He'll be fine. He talked about how badly he wanted to play. And he was like, I thought I could play 2 weeks ago. So you already know I wanted to play really badly. Then he got after Charlie Muley, the PR guy for the Commanders, who everyone loves Charlie. Like, I've talked to multiple staff media members, right? You've seen them on the channel. I've talked to these people, and they rave about Charlie. They love this guy. He does a great job of facilitating these press conferences, communicating with them, getting them set up in some comfortable, situations when they go on the road, when they're at home, etc. And Charlie and Jayden have a really fun relationship because last year, remember, he had Charlie dressed up in some shit. I don't remember what he was dressed up as, but it was because the Dodgers beat the Mets last year. And so Charlie, because as you know, Jayden, a Cali guy, is a Dodgers fan. So the Dodgers made the playoffs. The Mets did not. And he gave him a hard time. And it was funny because he talked about it for about a good 2 to 3 minutes of this press conference. I was wondering, why is Jayden's press conference almost 11 minutes long? He never goes that long. His press conferences are anywhere from 7.5 to 9 minutes long. It's usually no longer than 9 minutes. To see it over 10, almost 11, I'm like, that's why it was that long. He had the 2-minute exchange where he was just killing Charlie about his Mets, going into specific details. And he's like, no, Charlie got to pay up. He got another bet and he going to pay up. Don't y'all worry. You're going to see it here a little bit, later down the line. So that was a fun moment there when he was talking about Charlie and the Dodgers and the Mets. And he always gets people straight. He said, so you're an LA guy? Yep. He said, I'm not an LA guy. I'm from the Inland Empire, right? He always makes sure he checks people. I'm not from LA, right? So he's SoCal. I'm a SoCal guy. Get it right. So he was asked, when did he start to feel like himself? And he said, I felt like myself 2 weeks ago. So he kept going back to the 2 weeks ago thing. He was like, but they probably felt like I felt like myself on Saturday when I worked out prior to the Falcons game. And so he said, they was like, well, if you felt like yourself, can you do some of the things? Like, look, your mind is a powerful thing. And if you tell yourself you can do it, you can do it. He's not wrong, but physically he wasn't where he needed to be 2 weeks ago. He's a lot further along, a lot better along now than he was 14 days ago. So he talked about the support that he's going to have at Sunday's game. He's like, bro, I got all kinds of family coming in. Family, friends. We turning this joint out. Like, it's going to be packed full of Jayden Daniels supporters. This is truly a homecoming for him. And he's like, God set this up for me to have me be healthy enough to come back and play in front of the hometown crowd. Like, you can tell he ain't missing this game for nothing. And he's going to turn up for the fam. So best believe we getting 5 on Demon Time this weekend. I got too many people here watching me, right? Juju, the whole crew, they all in attendance this weekend, right? Mama, uncle, auntie, they all at the game this weekend. He got to show out. It's on. It's up and it's stuck this weekend. I love it. Bart Scott. Can't wait. He talked about he and Bobby's relationship, and he said, we both got the same area code, 909. He said that was the icebreaker for us, and it just kind of went from there, right? Being from the same, neck of the woods, having the same area code, you share a lot of the same experiences, you can talk about a lot of the same stuff, and they just kind of clicked just like that. He then said guys in his absence have been stepping up. He mentioned some guys, the running back room, the 2 tight ends that stepped in for John Bates, and he said, of course, Marcus stepped up big time in his absence. So you want to keep that going now that he's returning to the lineup. He talked about his year 2 growth. He was asked about, what he's seeing pre-snap, what are some of his keys. And he talked about, safeties tell the truth, corners often lie. He talked about, seeing pre-snap motions and shifts and just knowing where he wants to go with the football, what side of the field he wants to attack. And just reading, the keys, knowing what tendencies you've seen on film, what guys like to do, how teams like to play this when they get this look, etc. So kind of went into some explicit detail on things that he sees, but he's like, basically, it's a week-to-week thing as to how he prepares. He said, but I'm still young, I'm still learning, and that comes with time and more reps. True that, true that. And then he talked about striking a balance between putting the cape on and just going out and staying healthy and not trying to do too much. And he's like, look, bro, I ain't going to hold you if I'm out there. But I do understand that I got to stay healthy for my team. If I want to be out on the field, I got to be healthy. He said, but I'm going to tell you right now, if the game on the line, F this brace and F what y'all talking about, I'm going out there and trying to win the game. And I don't think the game is going to have to be on the line for him to do that. His instincts are going to take over. Once he gets out on the field, he sees an opportunity to take off and run. I think he's going to take off and run. So we'll see if he's going to try to play it safe. We'll see if the play calls play it safe, where they don't have any designed runs or they don't have anything that puts him in the line of fire. If they try to get the ball out of his hands quickly, we'll see what the game plan looks like in his first week back. But Jayden is not going out there to be cautious. He's throwing caution to the wind. He's playing in front of the family. He's trying to get us a dub. He's going to go out there and he's going to put his best foot forward. So looking forward to that. Anyhow, that was Jayden Daniels' press conference. Let's get to a word from one of our sponsors, and then we'll come back on the other side and get to our first look at the Los Angeles Chargers. Sleeper is the best way to experience and connect over sports together. It's a one-stop shop for all of your sports needs. You can celebrate and chat in the games in real time with other users, get the fastest scores, blazing fast news and alerts right at your fingertips. Play in fantasy leagues and win real money on picks contests. So enjoy sports the way they were meant to, together. Download the #1 sports app today. Predict the hottest football stats like passing yards, receiving yards, touchdowns, interceptions, and much more to cash in on your daily fantasy football skills. Use promo code LTN and Sleeper will match your first deposit up to $100. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Currently operational in over 25 states. Check out Sleeper today. Sleeper. So, first look at the Los Angeles Chargers 425 kick, America's game of the week. This is a showcase game for the Commanders, the first of many where they will not be playing at 1 o'clock, as Rio laid out for you so eloquently last night on the Commanders Kings program. We will not see the Commanders in a 1 o'clock time slot until December, when they take on the Minnesota Vikings in like week 14. So it's going to be quite a while before we see this team in a 1 o'clock window. This is a 425 game in LA. Tons of support for the Commanders out there. We expect them to show up and show out, turn this place into a home game. And I want to see the Chargers having to go on a silent count. I want to see the Chargers having to struggle with some of the noise that we can create with all of the fans that are going to be there in attendance for the Commanders, and then Jayden Daniels' crew that he's bringing with him. Ultimately, though, this is a very upset Chargers football team. And I don't know what's better, right? I don't know what's better. If they would have been coming in here full of confidence and hubris, undefeated at 4-0, and maybe overlooking us, or maybe, you know what I mean, feeling confident and cocky, and we might have been able to catch them slipping, or they coming off of a loss, they're hyper-focused, they're pissed off, they want to get back in the win column. I don't know which one would have been more advantageous, because if they're 4-0, they're super confident as well, right? Feeling themselves, and that could be dangerous too. But ultimately, we're getting the pissed off version of the Chargers. They let one slip. They lost to a winless team. Now they're looking to take out their frustrations on someone. That someone is us. We got to bring our A game. On paper, they're a more talented team than us. They're healthier than us. They're the better team. They should win this game. That is what the prevailing thought is. However, I feel like we have the better quarterback. I don't feel bad for saying that. Now, our quarterback isn't the healthier of the two right now. Don't care. Ultimately, I think that, much like I've said about every game we've played to this point this season, the trenches are so important. We're going to have to win up front. The games that we've won, we've dominated up front. The games that we lost, we haven't. It's as simple as that. This is another one of those games. If you can neutralize their rookie running back, who is coming off of a career day, his best day of his career to date, he eviscerated, he demolished the Giants defense, did Omari and Hampton on Sunday. We can't allow that shit to happen. Can't allow them, the run game, to take pressure off of Justin Herbert. Their line is in flux, obviously, with all the injuries. They got our old friend, Foster Sorrell, who they just activated from their practice squad back to their active. Like, They got ass on that offensive line, potentially. We got to take advantage of that. We got to be really active up front. This is a Javon Kinlaw, Deron Payne, Dorrance Armstrong, Frankie Louvu, Jacob Martin, Von Miller, Preston Smith, Johnny Newton type of game. Eddie Goldman. This is their game. I'm rolling the ball out and I'm saying, ball's in your court, fellas. You go out and dominate. Because if you don't get to Justin Herbert, we can't cover their receivers. We can't cover Ladd McConkey. We can't cover Keenan Allen. We can't cover Quentin Johnston. We can't do it. We're not good enough. They got a young tight end, a rookie that they drafted that they are starting to gain confidence in, that he's essentially, for all intents and purposes, he's a receiver playing the tight end position. Oronde Gadsden's son. I think it's Oronde Gadsden III, I believe he is. We don't do well with tight ends that move like receivers. So there's enough weapons for Justin Herbert to get the football to shred us. Shred us if we can't get to him and make him uncomfortable and get him off the spot. And as you all know, he can also throw off platform. But as you also should know, he will make mistakes if you get him off platform. For as good as he is off platform, running to his left, running to his right, there aren't many guys with a bigger, stronger arm than Justin Herbert in this league. That means he can make throws from all over the place. But I'm making a list, and I made one at the beginning of the season, and it's a hit list. And I told you, it doesn't matter how long ago it was or if you change teams. Your jacket follows you, right? Your transgressions follow you. I didn't forget about Justin Herbert beating us back in 2021 in week 1. What was it, 16-13 or some bullshit like that? Late touchdown toss to Mike Williams after a Antonio Gibson fumble inside our own 5-yard line. Think I forgot about that shit? I didn't. You on the goddamn list. And so far, Russell Wilson's name was on the list for his theatrics last year with the damn Steelers. Scratch his name off the list week 1. Geno Smith had an infraction back in 2023 when he ended our season in like week 10 or 11 when he was a member of the Seahawks. Scratched his name off the list. Herbert's your goddamn name on the list. You next up. I need to scratch his name off the damn list. But in order to do that, going to have to stop the run. Going to have to get to Justin Herbert. I ain't saying you got to sack him 3 or 4 times. You just got to disrupt him. We didn't disrupt Michael Penix Jr. We didn't disrupt Jordan Love, and you saw the end result. We're going to have to start a lot faster in this game. Can't get off to the slow start, allow the Chargers a 2-score lead, and then be playing catch up and playing from behind like we did on the road the last 2 outings. Going to have to play a lot better. It's a new month. Time to turn the page. Let's get hot. Let's turn it up. It starts with this Chargers team. We have some decided advantages in this game. But if you don't make them advantages, then they don't benefit you. Again, they're the better team. They're the better team. On paper, they're more talented. They have the healthier football team. They're the better team. They've been challenged more this season, and they've won those games. We have not. On paper, they're supposed to beat us. But if we take advantage of the few advantages that we do have, we got a chance to even the score and somehow come out of SoFi with a win. Starts up front. We can win special teams. We can win in the trenches. They don't have an elite pass rush. They play excellent zone coverage, though. Excellent. Some of the best. Jesse Minter is a future head coach in this league based off of his defensive prowess. He looks like the next Mike McDonald. I talked about this yesterday. To me, young defensive coordinators, they understand how to confuse quarterbacks with zone coverage and just rushing four. That's what he wants to do, just like Mike McDonald does in Seattle. Rush four, play zone behind it, play tight zone too. Guys getting their hands on football. I talked about a Louie Gilman jumping that route against Geno. When the last time you seen a commander safety jump any goddamn thing? You haven't. You can't tell me when. Derwin James is everywhere. He's ubiquitous. He's everywhere. He's blitzing. He's middle of the field safety. He's getting a hand on his football, causing an interception. He's everywhere. He's forcing fumbles out in the flat. He's breaking up passes against your tight end. He's everywhere. You have to neutralize guys like him. You got to know where he is at all times. And you have to take advantage of the few things that we feel like we can do better than them going into this game. They're not going to pressure us. They blitz more than the average team that rushes for and plays zone behind it. Like Mike McDonald in Seattle, they blitz the fewest of any team in the league. That's not what Jesse Minter is on. He will bring the pressure on 3rd and 7. He will heat you up. But his first inclination is to, let's see if we can get home with 4. They don't have Khalil Mack. Thule is a solid rusher, but they don't scare you with what they have up front. So we should be able to protect Jayden. He should have time to survey the field. We should be able to run the football. And I think this is a big run the football type of week. And establish that. The Giants had success last week running the football. Whether it was the quarterback running it, and they got a heavy dose of Jackson Dart running the football, but they also couldn't stop Cam Scatterbo from running the football last week either. So we can run the football, I feel like, on these guys. They're going to try to run the football on us, and I think we can cancel them out. But we better get pressure on Herbert or else. Or else. It could be a long day for the good guys. So that's our first look at the Chargers. They're a 3-1 team for a reason. They're well coached. They don't make a ton of mistakes. They create turnovers, something we don't do, right? And we have to be disciplined. Can't have the silly penalties that push us back. We have to establish who we are in this game. We have to establish who we are. We have to possess the football. We have to convert on 3rd downs. We got to win on early downs. We got to stay out of the 1st and 2nd down negative plays, penalties that force you back. We can't be in 1st and 30, man. That's no way to live. You can't have an intentional grounding on 1st down that puts you in 2nd and 22. That's no way to live, man. You can't be in 3rd and 2 and have a false start that puts you in 3rd and 7. That's no way to live, man. You take care of the mistakes. You take care of the football. You convert on 3rd downs. And if need be, we were 2 of 2 on 4th downs. We're kind of getting back to our identity again. One of those 4th downs was out of necessity. The first one, we didn't have to go for. We could have taken a field goal. DQ said, nah, not doing that. Get back to who you are. Possess the football. You ain't got to win time of possession. You can't lose it by 10 minutes, though. Be nice to win it. Keep the defense off the field as much as possible. Keep them fresh. And let's go try to find a way to get it done. A lot has to happen right for us to go to LA and win. And we'll talk about what needs to be done a little bit tomorrow as we go behind enemy lines. But let's go ahead and get to the comment section, and then we will get out of here. So, DGM Media, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. DMG Media writes, hey, Lou. What's up, DMG Media? Funny story. I'm all ears. I'm actually on the field at MB Stadium for a work event. They covered the logo with the bar since they knew I was coming back to the scene of the crime and it wouldn't have been pretty. LOL. Hey, look, we're returning. When you return to the scene of the crime, it's always a fun time to see what happens. So it's always messy, right? It's a nasty situation when you return to the scene of a crime. I love it though. And I love the pettiness of it all. So the key is always make sure your presence is felt wherever you go. Whether the first time you go and you create a mess or you return to the scene of the crime to make sure that's some real serial killer or, killer type shit, right? You do something, or arsonist, right? You do something and then you return to the scene of the crime to make sure it's done or to see what's going on, right? That's some petty shit. I love it though. It would have been messy. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. JB3, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, it's time to call the general and file an insurance claim because Marfrod ladder ass is totaled. Get Noah out there and move Mikey back outside. Not the move. You really don't want to see the general. Y'all keep acting like y'all want to save some time. Don't call the general. You're going to lose your mind. All right? Trying to warn y'all, he's the general for a reason. You break that glass in case of an emergency. It is not an emergency after a month of the season. I'm sorry. I don't agree with you guys. And once again, I don't want Mikey outside. Stop waffling this man back and forth. What we do know is Mikey is not a boundary corner full time. He can do that in spots, but we know Mikey is supposed to be a nickel. And you're not going to allow him to get comfortable, settle in, and be the nickel that he's supposed to be if you keep waffling back and forth between boundary and nickel. Put him at nickel, leave him at nickel, let him play nickel. That's what they need to do. You want him to get better there? Leave him there. Let him get the reps. Video channel. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB who writes, Lou, St. Juice revenge game? Of course, for him it is. He thinks we did him wrong, and he wants to show that I can play. Y'all just ass, but he's ass, and we need to prove it. And I know we're going to get at least one where he buckles it, makes a play and buckles the shit up. And but we should be able to do what we need to do against him. It sucks that we don't have our best receivers available so he could really get this work. But I'm fine with Jalen Lane and Debo and Luke McCaffrey putting his ass in the spin cycle. But yeah, he's definitely out for revenge. But this revenge is about us. It's about us getting our revenge against Justin Herbert. This ain't about Benjamin St. Juice. Crazy Negro. Good one. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, I'm feeling a 10-game win streak. Let's effing go. I believe. Okay. One at a time for me. I'll just take one win, please. I'll just take one on Sunday. Then we'll go from there and we'll try to make it 2. But you can't get to 10 without 1, right? So let's just do that first. But I like where your head is. All right. Anyway, I digress. DMG Media. Thank you for being a member for 2 months. Who writes, my presence is felt. Only JD jersey in sight. LOL. Cheers to that. They know. They know. That's all that matters is make sure your presence is felt. I love it. Anyhow, that's going to do it for me, your man Louie T, here on this installment of Commanders Nightly News. I look forward to chopping it up with you guys later on tonight. If you're a Commanders fan, you ain't doing nothing at 9:30 tonight. I'm going to be joined by our girl, Candy Waller, one of the beat reporters for the Commanders, does a tremendous job covering the team. It's Seawall Wednesday here on the Louie T Network. Candy Crush time. So we're going to have Candy come in here and this is a great time. I want to get the vibe of the team, how they felt after the game. Start lining your questions up for Candy if you got some. If you want her to ask some questions of Joe Witt Jr. or Cliff Kingsbury, you got some good ideas, things that you feel like need to be asked, bring those to the table as well, because I got one that I want her to ask. She may not ask any of our questions, but it don't hurt to ask, right? The only stupid question is the one that you don't ask, right? So we'll be back later on tonight for Seawall Wednesdays. Hopefully you will join us for that as well. But until then, I'm your man, Louie T, signing off. Enjoy the rest of your evening, and I will see you next time. Your boy is back. The knee brace king is back to save the day. Here I am to save the day. Welcome back, JD5. We missed you.
Here comes the diesel. Here comes the diesel. There's the snap. Hand to Riggins. Good hole. He's got the first down to the 40. He's gone. The 35, the 30, the 20.